Hello, everyone. My name is Jeffrey Davis, and this is Radio Entrepreneurs, the show where we continue to interview entrepreneurs and leaders, and we learn real time or listen real time to how people are dealing and succeeding in this economy. Our next guest is Lina Gonzalez, founder and CEO of SpadXTech. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure to be here.
My pleasure. Tell us about SpadXTech.
Sure. Yeah. So SpadXTech, it's a small company right now. SpadXTech makes materials with microbes. We essentially grow the materials in the lab from renewable resources. SpadXTech is making right now it's focusing on making leather alternatives to replace animal and plastic leathers. So what we have is a version of a material that doesn't have any plastics, doesn't have any animals. And so we're trying to bring that forward to the market. But SpadXTech is not just a leather company, it's a materials company. So we have other materials on the pipeline that would come, along in a couple of years.
What's the history of the company?
Yeah, I can tell you a little bit about how SpadXTech was born. I actually started the company in the kitchen of my apartment when I lived in Dracut. So I was actually playing around with kombucha for other purpose, detoxing purposes, and we found that the kombucha. So I realized that the kombucha mat, it's a drink, and it has a mat that floats on the drink. And I realized that the mat floats, and I was like, "Wow, yeah, it does float." So it floats because there's gases in it, and the gases are the that made me think about if it has gases in it, the material must be porous, and a porous material makes a great insulation material. So we started the company targeting insulation materials, making insulation materials for specifically the construction industry. But then we realized that as we were doing experiments, at that point I had moved into an actual lab, not my apartment. And we started doing experiments and realized that the material also has the look and feel of leather. And so we started going that path. We started doing customer interviews, in that market. We've realized that there was a need there. As we started going that way, and so that's how we kind of like started it and shifted over to started with one specific material and then shifted over to a different material.
And what's your background? Because you've had an interesting journey to get to where you are today. Were you previously an entrepreneur or it just sort of happened?
No, I wasn't. Actually, my career has been shaped around like being an academic. I was in grad school for a little while. I finished my PhD, my master and my PhD from Carnegie Mellon University. And then I did a postdoc at MIT, learning about genetically engineering. Um, and so the post at MIT was in bioengineering. Actually, I started like just going back a little bit. I started with physics and chemistry as an undergrad, and then switched over to mechanical engineering in grad school, and then switched over to bioengineering in as a postdoc. And so like I've been all over the place. I have a lot of different backgrounds. So yeah, that's kind of like, what the background is. I also actually taught at UMass Law for a year before I started my company as well. So that was kind of like a transition because I was still, on the academia path. But then I've been thinking about like the company for a while, starting a company for a while, but then it hit, when I was teaching that I realized that that wasn't really what I wanted to do, and then I started the company, and that's what I've been doing since.
So you didn't start with entrepreneurial ambitions.
Not necessarily. It kind of like I mean, I did take a couple of like entrepreneurial courses that kind of like built on like for the inspiration, but that wasn't like my starting point. I actually at some point I wanted to be a professor, have my own lab. but that didn't work out. And I realized that that's one not what I wanted to do, because in academia, the ultimate goal in academia is to publish papers, right? And so like I didn't want my work to just be, in a published paper that just a few people read. I wanted my work to be touched by many, many, many people. And I think, with bringing products to market, like really making an impact with like bringing more sustainable materials, I can make a really, really big impact in the world.
And you've won some awards. Do you want to talk to us about the awards that you've won?
Yeah, we have won a couple awards. We have won a couple of grants from federal grants. We won the biggest one we won so far has been the National Science Foundation. It's a phase. We've won a phase one first. You have to win a phase one first before you win a phase two. Then we won a phase two award. Altogether that was about $1.3 million worth of money from the National Science Foundation. And then we won a couple awards here and there from the Massachusetts Innovation Mass EC, which gives award. It's a state institution. So we got an award from them in 2022. That was for 65K. We won a couple of awards in, kind of pitch competitions. We won the K Museum priced. It was specifically for we won a specific category, the wall card category. There were a couple other things. We won like a couple a small grant from the Hello Alice. And recently we actually won I was really proud of that. We won a pitch competition through it's called the MFN Sustainability Challenge. So we won that challenge. It was a lot of work to get, to go through the challenge, but it was worth it. We won $40,000 there just last about a week ago, about 2 weeks ago now. So it was great, really great that we did that. And then, there has been a couple of grants here and there, small grants. So
So, Lina, what would be the application of the products you've developed? How would we see it in use?
yeah, so right now, our material, um, it's a leather alternative. In right now, what we're doing, we have two approach to our business. So one of the approach is to provide the raw material to brands that are making their own accessories, and handbags, like small accessories like, wallets, belts, and things like that. So we want to provide that raw material to these brands. There's a lot of these brands out there that are trying to get, a hold of this material. So that's like one specific business model. So the other business that we have is what we actually make our own accessories, but these are really small accessories that we're making. For example, the earrings that I'm wearing right now, they're actually made with our material, and we can actually make really intricate shapes, really intricate designs, and really beautiful designs, right? And so like that's another approach that we're taking. We're making the earrings, we make keychains, we make air tag keychains, holders, and like small things like that that we're making. So like that's like just to start with, just to kick us off. And so we have a couple of also customers right now that have ordered these small items. And then like we also have like orders, commitments for the materials. But the thing is that we're scaling right now, and it takes a while for us to get to the quantities. It will take a while for us to get to the quantities of the material to provide sufficient material to the big brands for them to make their own accessories.
So I guess that's the next stage, selling the to brands
Yeah, that's the next stage, and we have commitments already. But right now we're doing our own thing, kind of like, selling small accessories.
like
And
your earrings.
working we're working with museums, we're working with no waste local stores, we're working with a small gift shops, coastal gift shops. And so like So that's like the approach that we're taking. It's gears more towards like sustainable kind of businesses that are we're also exploring like kind of like gift corporate gifting. So if you know anyone that's looking for corporate gifting, we can provide that to them.
Well, it's all very interesting. You'll have to come back on as the company matures and develops more of a permanent footprint. We've been speaking with Lina Gonzalez, founder and CEO of SpadXTech. Lina, if someone wants to find you in the company, how would they do that?
Yeah, so you can go to our website, SpadXTech, SpadXTech.com. You can actually fill out the contact us form there. You can also reach me directly on my email, which is Lina, Lina dot Gonzalez, Gonzalez, at SpadXTech.com. Yeah, that's the best way to contact me.
It's great. And hopefully we'll see you again on Radio Entrepreneurs. I want to thank you for coming on. Very exciting process, very unique. And we hope you come back and tell us stories of how you're growing and successful. Remind everybody this is Radio Entrepreneurs.